Listen up. You turn on the mainstream news tonight, and they are all feeding you the exact same comforting fairy tale. America is still the undisputed king of the Middle East. They want you to believe that Washington has Iran completely cornered, crippled by our blockades, and just moments away from waving the white flag. But the truth is much crueler. Top geopolitical heavyweight John Mearsheimer just stepped up and dropped a reality bomb that will make your spine tingle. The cold, hard fact. The United States didn't just lose this latest geopolitical clash. We suffered a devastating, downright humiliating defeat. We blew through our advanced missile stockpiles. Our Gulf allies are panicking. And right now, America is standing on the global stage with its pants completely around its ankles. Can you believe it? The mighty us is actually the one begging for a way out of this mess. Meanwhile, Iran is sitting comfortably in the driver's seat, literally holding the global superpower by the throat. They are dictating all the terms in the Strait of Hormuz, demanding massive payouts up front, and Washington has absolutely zero cards left to play. We aren't making the rules anymore. We are taking orders. I break down all kinds of news-hot topics in plain English every single day, so even a total beginner can understand. Remember, every move made up there directly affects the vital interests of us ordinary people. You must watch the news to upgrade your cognition and avoid being fooled. Watching without hitting that like button loses half the flavor. Enough nonsense, let's get straight to it. Let's get one thing straight. The Western mainstream and your average Joe usually think that America can just bully anyone into submission. They think Washington just needs to snap its fingers, throw out some heavy sanctions, drop a few bombs, and Tehran will drop to its knees begging for mercy. But Mearsheimer's cold reality is a massive wake-up call. The brutal truth. America has zero leverage left. Zero Washington is entirely out of cards to play. Look at what is happening right now with the Strait of Hormuz negotiations. Back in June, there was a moderate deal on the table. Both sides agreed to open the strait, lift just the oil sanctions, and figure out the heavy economic stuff later. But Washington got greedy. They walked away, tore up the agreement, and went back to dropping bombs, thinking they could force a better outcome. Here is the kicker. That move backfired spectacularly. Now, the tables have completely turned. Iran is laying down the law of the geopolitical jungle. Mearsheimer points out something truly terrifying. Iran is now demanding all the massive economic prizes up front. They want war reparations paid right now. They want tens of billions of frozen assets released. Right now, they want total sanctions relief immediately. And the nuclear issue, the exact reason the US supposedly started this whole mess. It has completely disappeared from the table. Tehran refuses to even talk about it. Think about this using a simple example. It's exactly like a high-stakes gambler running into a cold-blooded casino dealer. The US is that crazy gambler who just went all in, blew through all his chips, and totally busted. But he is still standing at the table, acting tough, trying to bluff with an empty wallet. What does the dealer do? Iran, the cold-blooded dealer, just locks the casino doors. He looks the sweating gambler dead in the eye and says, "You want to walk out of here, pay your massive debts first, cash only, no negotiations." Pay close attention here. Why is Tehran playing such hardball? Because they know the US is running on empty. Mearsheimer makes it painfully clear. America literally ran out of advanced munitions. We fired over 300 Tomahawk missiles in the first 20 days. The Pentagon's shelves are empty. We physically cannot escalate this war even if we wanted to. Iran sees this weakness clear as day in the brutal arena of global politics. If you show weakness, your opponent doesn't cut you a break. They bleed you dry. America is being dragged by the nose. And honestly, Washington has no choice but to follow. And if you think that is bad, wait until you see what is happening with our friends. Let's look at America's supposedly loyal minions. The Western mainstream usually thinks that us allies in the Middle East, heavyweights like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, are permanently glued to Washington's hip. The average person assumes these countries will always happily hide behind the American shield, because after all, we have the biggest guns and the deepest pockets. But Mearsheimer's cold reality is a completely different beast. The truth is much crueler. The American security umbrella just shattered into a million pieces. These countries haven't just lost faith in Washington, they are in full-blown panic mode. Look at the breaking news. Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Turkey just signed a massive new security pact in Mecca. 3 major Sunni powers banding together, completely bypassing the United States. Why are they doing this right now? Because they watched this recent 40-day war with their eyes wide open. They saw the mighty U.S. military fail to protect its own assets. Iran systematically damaged 16 out of 17 American bases in the region. Washington actually had to move its military hardware further away, to Syria and Jordan, just to keep it safe. Think about this using simple street logic. Imagine a ruthless gangster neighborhood. For 50 years, the U.S. was the undisputed mob boss. He demanded absolute loyalty. And in return, he promised absolute protection. But suddenly, a fearless rival comes along and completely trashes the boss's mansion. The boss runs out of bullets, cowers in the corner, and takes a humiliating beating in front of the entire street. What do the local business owners, the underlings, do? They don't stick around to get slaughtered. They immediately start pulling together their own independent neighborhood watch to survive, or they start looking for a new godfather. That is exactly what this new Middle East Security Pact is all about. It is a desperate scramble for survival in a post-American Middle East. Get this, Trump actually tried to dangle a nuclear deal in front of Saudi Arabia recently, telling them they just needed to join the Abraham Accords and get cozy with Israel. The Saudis basically laughed and walked away. They are looking at the geopolitical chessboard and realizing that Washington is entirely paralyzed. Here is the ultimate geopolitical gangster rule. If you cannot throw a punch, you lose your crew. The Gulf states literally warned the White House not to escalate with Iran. Why? Because they know the U.S. is totally out of interceptor missiles. If a real shootout starts, Saudi oil fields and water desalination plants will get vaporized, and America won't be able to stop a single drone. The old scaffolding of the Middle East is collapsing. The loyalty is dead, replaced by pure, cold-blooded survival instinct. But how did we get so weak in the first place? Who exactly dragged America into this deadly swamp? The Western mainstream and your average taxpayer usually think that Israel is America's ultimate strategic asset in the Middle East. People assume they are our loyal enforcer, the tough guard dog keeping our enemies in check and protecting American interests at all costs. But Mearsheimer's cold reality hits like a freight train. The brutal truth, Israel didn't protect America. They engineered this entire geopolitical disaster. Think about it like this. It is the ultimate survival nightmare. Imagine you are climbing a treacherous, freezing mountain. You need a reliable partner. Instead, you are tied to a reckless, panicked amateur who completely ignores the map. When things go wrong, this teammate doesn't help you up. Instead, he stubbornly grabs your leg and violently pulls you straight over the edge. You are literally watching helplessly as you are dragged off a cliff by your own pig teammate. Listen closely to how this actually went down. Mearsheimer explicitly names the culprits. It was Benjamin Netanyahu and the head of Mossad who whispered poison into Washington's ear. They convinced Trump to launch that disastrous February 28th attack. They sold him a total fantasy, a quick shock and awe campaign. They promised that just a few days of bombing would decapitate the regime, and America would live happily ever after. What a complete and utter joke. U.S. military advisors warned against it, but Washington listened to Israel. And what was the result? America got sucked into a 40-day meat grinder, burned through its most advanced missile stockpiles, and walked away with a humiliating global defeat. Here is the insane part. Now that America is bleeding and desperately needs a way out, is Israel helping? Hell no. Netanyahu just went completely rogue. He tore up the Gaza peace plan right in Washington's face. Mearsheimer doesn't mince words here. He points out that Israel is aggressively pursuing its own extreme agenda, completely ignoring the fact that the U.S. military is out of ammo and desperately needs to de-escalate. Trump has lost total control. The American superpower is now completely paralyzed, held hostage by an ally that is prioritizing its own political survival over Washington's global empire. In the brutal world of geopolitical gang warfare, getting punched by an enemy is bad. But getting dragged into a meat grinder by your own right-hand man, that is a fatal blow. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Let's cut the crap. You might be sitting on your couch in Ohio or Texas thinking, why should I care about a bunch of sand and missiles thousands of miles away? That's Washington's problem. Wrong. The Middle East isn't just a dot on a map. It is the beating heart of global energy. The brutal truth is that this geopolitical disaster is actively reaching right into your bank account and stealing your hard-earned cash. The Strait of Hormuz is essentially the main artery for the world's oil supply right now. Iran controls the valve. With Washington paralyzed and unable to guarantee safe passage, the geopolitical premium on oil is about to explode. What does that mean for you? It means the cost of filling up your gas tank is going to surge. It means the price of groceries, which rely on diesel trucks to get to your local supermarket, is going to skyrocket. The U.S. blew its advanced missile stockpile, which sends a massive signal to the global market. American power can no longer guarantee the safety of global supply chains. When supply chains break down, inflation goes through the roof. Pay close attention. This is a black swan event for your personal finances. If you have a 401, if you have savings, this inflation spike will eat away your purchasing power like a parasite. The old system is breaking down, and safe havens like gold or specific commodities might be the only life rafts left. You need to stop watching the news like it's a movie and start watching it like it's your financial survival guide. And that is exactly why I am here. If this video blew your mind, if it finally made you understand exactly how the power games played out up there are directly draining the money right out of your pocket, don't hesitate, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell right now. Send this to your family and friends so they stop getting played by the mainstream media information. Is wealth and falling behind means paying the price. Mearsheimer's logic is absolutely ruthless. He strips away all the moral posturing and looks at the world as a brutal zero-sum game where only power matters. But reality is often exactly this cruel. What do you think? Is Mearsheimer dropping pure truth bombs? Or is he just a cold-blooded, cynical realist? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. And let's get this debate started.